14 minutes past the hour right now, and presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders is continuing to cut into Hillary Clinton's lead a bit, let's say. Look at this new survey from the Des Moines Register and Bloomberg Politics showing Sanders, look at that, edging within 7 points of the former Secretary of State in this critical early voting state, Iowa. Now, this doesn't just mark a remarkable 8-month climb for Sanders, but it does reveal that the former Secretary of State has lost 1/3 of her support in Iowa this year. CNN's Polo Sandoval is live in Washington. You've been looking at the numbers. What stood out to you?
Well, this is clearly going to be a reality check for Democrats, particularly really for the Clinton campaign, Christy. You see Clinton still holding a major lead nationally, but these new numbers from Iowans are likely to cause a bit more angst among Democrats. A survey from the Des Moines Register, as well as Bloomberg Politics that you just mentioned, finding that Senator Bernie Sanders trailing Clinton 37 to 30%. Clinton also appears to have lost 1/3 of her support since May, as you mentioned. By the way, if you look at the numbers, too, what's interesting also is Vice President Joe Biden gathering at least 14% of the vote there out of potential caucus goers there, easily distancing himself from the rest of the opponents. But remember, he still hasn't thrown his hat in the race. So why such a narrow gap between Clinton and her opponent? Well, the poll finding, the poll found that it may not necessarily be an opposition to Clinton as much as really the enthusiasm and also the deep support for Sanders. In fact, a whopping 96% of his backers that they support his ideas. A very small number of those potential caucus goers, though, saying that they would actually want to use their vote to stop a Clinton candidacy. Now, these numbers may not really come as a complete surprise, though, for many. In fact, Clinton actually finished third in the 2008 caucuses, Christie. So this poll is also being released also as we see a different approach, really, from Clinton. You'll remember that she really was a bit more aggressive towards Republicans. She even called them, quote, terrorist groups when it comes to the issue of women's health. Clearly, Clinton's still holding on to a major lead here nationally, but Christy, it's still very early. Nonetheless, these are some numbers that they should definitely